The crisp October air, hovering at a chilly 50-degree warmth, swept across the 100-acre campus of Hartsfield University, a prestigious liberal arts college nestled in the rolling hills of Massachusetts. It was the fall of 2025, and the campus buzzed with the electric energy of a new semester. Leaves, painted in fiery reds and golds, crunched underfoot as students in Hartsfield Hawks hoodies scurried between ivy-covered buildings, their breath visible in the morning chill. The scent of pumpkin spice lattes wafted from a coffee cart near the quad, a nod to the season's unspoken American ritual. Homecoming weekend loomed, and banners proclaiming Go Hawks fluttered above the pathways, while students swapped TikTok memes and slung slang like lit and clutch in rapid-fire banter. This was Hartsfield, a place where tradition met ambition, where brilliant minds collided, and where, in room 204 of the math department, a quiet revolution was about to ignite. The lecture hall, a 50-foot by 40-foot sanctuary of chalk and intellect, hummed with anticipation as students filed in for advanced calculus. The room's tall, arched windows filtered timid sunlight, casting long shadows across rows of wooden desks scarred by decades of note-taking. A massive 20-foot chalkboard dominated the front, its surface already dusted with faint traces of equations from earlier classes. The air carried the faint squeak of chalk and the rustle of backpacks as students settled in, their faces a mix of nervous excitement and dread. This wasn't just any class. The board bore the name of Dr. Clara Nguyen, a professor whose reputation preceded her like a storm cloud. Known for her scalpel-sharp intellect and zero tolerance for mediocrity, she treated the classroom as a battlefield where only the intellectually worthy survived. To her, calculus wasn't a subject, it was a crucible. Among the students, whispers and glances darted toward the back row, where a man sat quietly, unnoticed by most. He wore dark jeans, a faded black jacket, and a plain t-shirt, his slightly tousled hair framing a face that seemed both familiar and out of place. He carried a thick, worn notebook, its pages dog-eared and inked with meticulous notes. No laptop, no phone in sight. This was Keanu Reeves, a figure whose presence sparked silent curiosity. At first glance, he looked older than the typical undergrad, his calm demeanor contrasting with the jittery energy of his peers. A few students recognized him, their eyes widening as they nudged each other. "Is that the Keanu?" one whispered, referencing his iconic Matrix roles. "What's Neo doing in calc?" another quipped, half joking about him dodging integrals like bullets. But they respected his space, keeping their curiosity to hushed exchanges. No one approached him, and he seemed content with that, his focused eyes scanning the board as if it held secrets only he could see. Keanu's presence wasn't random, though few could guess why he was there. Years ago, during a turbulent chapter of personal losses, he had found solace in the quiet logic of mathematics. Late nights in a dimly lit apartment, with only a pencil and a second-hand textbook, had turned into a private passion. He pored over calculus, linear algebra, and number theory, not for fame or accolades, but because the patterns of numbers offered a refuge when the world felt chaotic. Now, auditing this class at Hartsfield, he sought to reconnect with that dream, a dream deferred by a life that had taken him down unexpected paths. He wasn't here to prove anything, only to learn, to feel the rhythm of equations again. But to the untrained eye, he was an anomaly, a celebrity out of context, and that made him a target. The door slammed shut, firm and final, silencing the room. Dr. Clara Nguyen entered, her presence commanding like a general stepping onto a battlefield. Dressed in a tailored navy blazer, her heels clicked softly against the hardwood floor, each step deliberate. Her dark hair was pulled into a flawless bun, and her eyes, sharp, unyielding, scanned the room like a laser slicing through pretense. She paused at the front, turning to face the class, her silence heavier than any words. The students straightened, notebooks open, pens poised, as if bracing for impact. Among them were Mateo Alvarez, a first-generation Puerto Rican freshman whose math anxiety clashed with his engineering dreams. Sophie Chen, a shy 18-year-old grappling with imposter syndrome but drawn to math's elegance. And Tyler Brooks, a lacrosse star who saw calculus as a hurdle to his athletic scholarship but loved strategic challenges. "Welcome to reality," Dr. Nguyen said at last, her voice cold and precise, cutting through the tension like a blade. "This is advanced calculus, and there's no room here for excuses, laziness, or arrogance." The words landed like a gauntlet, and a heavy silence settled. At Hartsfield, merit is our compass. I don't care if your family owns half of Boston, if you clawed your way here from a failing school, or if you've got 1 million TikTok followers. What matters is what your mind can do with what you've learned, or what you're about to learn. She paused, her gaze locking onto Mateo in the front row, who quickly looked down, then shifting to the back, where Keanu sat, unmoved. Her eyes lingered on him, a flicker of disdain crossing her face. "Some of you think fame buys you a free pass," she continued, her tone pointed, "that the glow of cameras excuses a lack of discipline. But in this room, there are no shortcuts. You stay if you prove you belong." The jab was unmistakable, aimed squarely at Keanu. Whispers rippled. Sophie glanced back. Tyler smirked. Mateo scribbled nervously, but Keanu didn't flinch. His expression remained steady, his pen moving calmly across his notebook, as if the words hadn't touched him. To him, this wasn't new. He'd faced skepticism before, in different forms, with different voices. He wasn't here to fight. He was here to learn. As Dr. Nguyen launched into the lecture, the air crackled with something beyond calculus. It was a game of unspoken rules, authority versus silence, assumption versus truth. In a room where equations ruled and egos clashed, one quiet man was about to turn a professor's trap into a lesson that would change Hartsfield forever. What began as an attempt to humiliate him would spark a revolution, not just in room 204, but in how math was taught, learned, and shared, leaving a legacy that echoed far beyond the chalk-dusted walls. The first day of advanced calculus in room 204 at Hartsfield University crackled with unspoken stakes. The lecture hall, a 50-foot by 40-foot arena of intellect, felt both grand and oppressive under the weight of Dr. Clara Nguyen's reputation. The 20-foot chalkboard loomed at the front, already scrawled with dense notation integrals, limits, and partial derivatives that seemed to taunt the 30 students seated before it. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, illuminating a homecoming banner outside that read, "Hartsfield Hawks Soar." The faint buzz of a GroupMe chat lit up phones, with students posting, "Nguyen's no joke. Good luck. Y'all." This was no ordinary class. It was a proving ground, and everyone felt the pressure. Dr. Clara Nguyen, a formidable figure at 50, commanded the room with a presence honed by years of battling skepticism in a male-dominated field. Her navy blazer was impeccable, her gaze piercing. But beneath her sharp intellect lay a quiet insecurity. Earlier that morning, in her office, she'd stared at a tenure review letter, her fingers tracing its edges. Another year to prove her relevance, to silence whispers that her methods were outdated. The classroom was her domain, and she guarded it fiercely, allowing no crack in her armor. As she surveyed the students, some scribbling, others fidgeting, her eyes landed on an anomaly in the back row, Keanu Reeves. Keanu, in his 50s, sat unassuming in a faded jacket, his worn notebook open before him. His calm intensity, a quiet focus that seemed to absorb the room's chaos, hinted at depths unseen. Unlike the laptop-toting undergrads, he wielded only a pencil, his hand moving with deliberate precision. To Dr. Nguyen, he was an interloper, a celebrity dabbling in her sacred space. She straightened, her voice cutting through the murmurs. "This isn't a movie set, Mr. Reeves," she said, her tone laced with disdain. "Calculus demands discipline, not fame." The jab landed like a dart, and a ripple of gasps spread. Sophie Chen, an 18-year-old freshman who felt like an imposter despite her love for math's logic, glanced back, wide-eyed. Tyler Brooks, a 20-year-old lacrosse player who viewed calculus as a hurdle to his scholarship, smirked and whispered to Mateo Alvarez, "Bet you $20 he's gone by midterms." Mateo, a 19-year-old first-generation Puerto Rican student, didn't take the bet. His stomach churned from a diagnostic quiz that had left him lost in a sea of derivatives. An aspiring engineer, he carried the weight of his family's hopes, but math anxiety gnawed at him. As Dr. Nguyen lectured, Mateo's eyes drifted to Keanu's notebook, visible from a few rows away. Pages brimmed with elegant derivations, diagrams that danced like poetry. Mateo blinked, whispering to Sophie, "He's not just Neo, he's here." Sophie nodded, her shy curiosity piqued. Tyler, ever the strategist, leaned in. "Dude, he's probably prepping for some sci-fi flick." But the GroupMe chat told a different story. Keanu's notes are wild. "Is he legit, Doctor?" Nguyen pressed on, her chalk slashing across the board. But her focus kept snagging on Keanu. He didn't flinch under her barb, his pen moving steadily, as if her words were mere background noise. To him, this was familiar doubt, assumption, the weight of being underestimated. He wasn't here to prove her wrong, only to chase the clarity math offered. As the lecture ended, students packed up, buzzing about Nguyen's intensity. Mateo lingered, stealing another glance at Keanu's notebook. Sophie whispered to Tyler. He didn't even blink. Outside, the homecoming banner swayed in the 50-degree nerve breeze, but inside, a spark had ignited a clash of egos and hidden brilliance that would soon reshape room 204. By mid-October 2025, the advanced calculus class at Hartsfield University had become a pressure cooker. In room 204, Dr. Clara Nguyen upped the ante with a high-stakes group project, optimized delivery routes for a Springfield food bank. A plan to be pitched to city officials in a public presentation. Success could save the food bank $12,000 a year, making the task a rare blend of academic rigor and real-world impact. For Keanu Reeves and his teammates, Mateo Alvarez, Sophie Chen, and Tyler Brooks, the project was a golden opportunity. But Dr. Nguyen had other plans. Still bristling from Keanu's quiet defiance in earlier classes, she slipped his group a dataset rigged with a fatal flaw numbers that led to negative delivery times. An impossibility. Her eyes glinted as she handed out the files, confident the Hollywood star would crash and burn. Keanu dove into the challenge, undaunted. Late nights in Hartsfield's library saw him hunched over a desk, sprawling with 15 square feet of notes graphs, integrals, and coffee-stained scratch paper. The library's hum of fluorescent lights and distant chatter faded as he worked. His faded jacket slung over a chair. Mateo, battling math anxiety, slumped nearby, his engineering dreams clouded by self-doubt. Keanu noticed and slid over, sketching a derivative. "Picture a skate ramp," he said, tracing a curve. "The slope's your speed steeper means faster. That's what a derivative shows." Mateo's face brightened. "Dude, that's actually dope." Sophie Chen, the shy freshman who loved math but doubted herself, watched closely. "How do you make it look so easy?" she asked, her voice tentative. Keanu's smile was gentle. "It's not easy, it's just honest. Math tells the truth if you let it. Tyler Brooks, the lacrosse jock, grinned from across the table. You're out here coaching like it's the playoffs. The project review loomed, and room 204 buzzed with nervous energy. The 8-foot whiteboard, a stark canvas of Dr. Nguyen's rigged equation, dominated the lecture hall. City officials in suits sat up front, pens poised, as groups presented. When Keanu's team was called, Nguyen's voice cut through the room like a blade. "Show us your Hollywood magic, Mr. Reeves," she said, her smirk a gauntlet thrown. A student in the back snapped a Snapchat story, captioned Keanu versus Nguyen Round 1, and the campus group me exploded with emojis. Mateo gripped his notes. Sophie adjusted her glasses. And Tyler muttered, "Let's go." Clutch time. Keanu stepped to the board. His calm intensity, a stark contrast to the room's buzz. He scanned the equation, his eyes tracing its logic. And then, he saw it, the sabotage. A term implied negative delivery times. A deliberate trap to make the roots unsolvable. Nguyen's challenge wasn't just to solve, it was to fail spectacularly. Keanu turned to the audience, voice steady. "This dataset's broken," he said, circling the flaw. "It demands negative time, which can't exist, but we can fix it." Mateo nodded, his earlier doubts fading. Sophie's pen flew across her notebook, capturing every step. Tyler leaned in, whispering, "It's like plotting a game-winning shot in lacrosse." With deliberate strokes, Keanu rewrote the equation, simplifying the roots into a clean optimization model. "If we treat this as a converging function and adjust the constraints," he said, sketching a flowchart, "the trucks move efficiently." The diagram was elegant, like a map of a living system. The officials nodded, impressed. Nguyen's smirk vanished, her posture stiffening. The room pulsed with energy, not just from the math, but from the clash of wills. Tyler's grin widened, muttering, "Absolute baller." Sophie's notes were a testament to her growing confidence. And Mateo stood taller, his anxiety replaced by pride. As the Snapchat story spread, Hartsfield braced for a showdown that would redefine Room 204. In the packed lecture hall of Hartsfield University on a crisp May morning in 2025, Room 204 pulsed with the weight of an unfolding drama. The 8-foot whiteboard, a battleground of numbers, loomed over the advanced calculus class as Keanu Reeves stepped forward. His faded jacket, a quiet defiance against the formal suits of city officials seated up front. Dr. Clara Nguyen's rigged dataset for the food bank project, a trap meant to humiliate Keanu by implying negative trucks had been exposed. And now, all eyes were on him. The air crackled, not just with anticipation, but with the promise of a reckoning. Keanu, calm but resolute, grabbed a stack of paper and markers, his movements deliberate, like an artist preparing a canvas. He began constructing a 3D model, folding paper into a miniature map of Springfield's streets, marking delivery routes with colored lines. "The equation's rigged," he said, voice steady, pointing to the flawed term on the board. "It assumes negative trucks, which can't exist. Let's fix it." The model came alive under his hands, a living system of routes weaving like arteries. Mateo Alvarez, the first-generation student whose math anxiety once crippled him, leaned forward, eyes wide. "That's it," he exclaimed, his voice cutting through the silence. Sophie Chen, the shy freshman, clapped, her usual reserve melting away. Tyler Brooks, the lacrosse star, nodded, grinning. "Clutch move. Man," he muttered, seeing the routes like a game-winning play. Keanu rewrote the algorithm, his chalk tracing a spiral on the board, a hypnotic curve that represented the system's flow. The spiral wasn't just math. It was a revelation, making the abstract tangible. Dr. Nguyen, arms crossed, watched her trap unravel. Her face tightened as she stepped forward, voice sharp. "You're undermining my authority, Mr. Reeves," she accused, her tenure fears surfacing. The dean, present for the presentation, raised a hand. "Let him finish," he said calmly, his tone a quiet rebuke. Keanu met Nguyen's gaze, unflinching. "Math isn't about winning, it's about clarity," he said, his words a gentle challenge. Nguyen, shaken, hesitated, then handed him a marker. "Show them again," she said, her voice softer, almost vulnerable. Keanu turned to the class, marker in hand. "This spiral," he explained, redrawing it, "is the math breathing how the roots move, how the system lives." He connected the spiral to real-world flows, traffic, wind, even heartbeats, making calculus feel alive. The class erupted in applause, a roaring cheer that echoed like a Hartsfield Hawks game in the 10,000-seat stadium. A student whipped out their phone, recording for TikTok with the caption, "Keanu just dropped math facts." The video destined to hit 500,000 views by nightfall. Mateo's confidence soared, his earlier doubts replaced by pride. Sophie, emboldened, spoke up for the first time. "I get it now. It's like a storyteller, inspired. Would ace his next quiz, seeing math as a playbook." The emotional peak hit as Keanu stepped back, leaving a note scrawled on the board. "Math belongs to everyone." The words hung in the air, a manifesto of inclusion. The 3D model and spiral weren't just solutions, they were a movie moment, a cinematic triumph for U.S. audiences who crave underdog victories. The city officials nodded, scribbling notes, their approval signaling the project's $12,000 savings for the food bank. Nguyen stood frozen, her authority challenged not by arrogance, but by Keanu's quiet mastery. The applause faded, but the energy lingered, a spark that would ignite room 204 and beyond. As Keanu returned to his seat, the TikTok video spread, and Hartsfield braced for a legacy no one saw coming. By late May 2025, room 204 at Hartsfield University was no longer just a lecture hall, it was a crucible of change. The video of Keanu Reeves' food bank project presentation, filmed on a student's phone, exploded across Hartsfield's GroupMe, racking up thousands of reactions before leaping to TikTok, where it hit 3 million views in days. It wasn't Keanu's fame that fueled the frenzy, but his ability to make calculus feel alive, turning a rigged equation into a $10,000 lifeline for Springfield's food bank. The campus buzzed, and Dr. Clara Nguyen, once the unyielding gatekeeper of advanced calculus, stood at a crossroads. Her 50-foot by 40-foot classroom, once a battlefield, now felt like a shared stage. The next class was electric. Students packed the 30 desks, some standing along the walls, drawn by the viral moment. Dr. Nguyen entered, her navy blazer crisp but her demeanor softer. She paused at the 8-foot whiteboard, chalk in hand, and faced the room. "Before we begin," she said, voice steady but vulnerable, "I need to address last week. I let pride cloud my purpose. I was wrong." The room stilled. "Thank you, Mr. Reeves, for reminding us what this classroom is for." She looked to the back row, where Keanu sat, his faded jacket and worn notebook unchanged. He nodded humbly. No trace of triumph. Nguyen stepped aside. "Would you co-teach with me? Your visualizations could complement my theory." The class gasped, then clapped, the sound echoing like a Hartsfield Hawks rally. Keanu stayed in the back row, true to form, but his impact rippled. After class, he tutored, his desk a 10-square-foot hub of crumpled notes and eager students. Sophie Chen, once paralyzed by imposter syndrome, approached hesitantly. "Why the back?" she asked. Keanu smiled. It lets you see who needs help most. Sophie, inspired, launched a study group, her voice growing bolder. Mateo Alvarez, his math anxiety fading, joined a STEM club, dreaming of engineering breakthroughs. Tyler Brooks, the lacrosse star, applied calculus to optimize his team's plays, joking, "Keanu's basically the Yoda of calculus." Man, the quip, shared on GroupMe, sparked laughs and memes, adding levity to the transformation. Dr. Nguyen's evolution was quieter, but profound. In her office, surrounded by 20 feet of bookshelves, she thanked Keanu privately. "You reminded me, teaching is about opening doors, not guarding them," she said, her tenure fears easing. Their co-teaching blended her rigor with his storytelling Nguyen's equations, paired with Keanu's spirals and models. Students thrived, questions flowing freely. Mateo aced a quiz, Sophie led discussions, and Tyler's lacrosse team won a game using his new strategy. The food bank project, now implemented, saved $10,000 annually, a testament to math's community impact, a core U.S. value. Hartsfield took notice. At the Spring Campus Festival, with 5,000 students chanting "Hawks soar" under a 50-degree evening sky, the university launched Math in Motion, a program inspired by Keanu's methods. It reached 500 local high schoolers, tackling math anxiety with hands-on workshops. Keanu's TikTok tutorials, simple yet profound, sparked a national STEM movement, amassing 10 million views and inspiring kids from Boston to Boise. Posts flooded with comments. Math isn't scary anymore. The festival's bonfire glowed, symbolizing solidarity. As students swapped stories of Keanu's quiet heroism, Keanu never sought the spotlight. He remained in the back, tutoring, his notebook a map of shared knowledge. Room 204 became a beacon, its chalk-dusted air alive with possibility. Dr. Nguyen, once a gatekeeper, was now a guide, her lessons infused with openness. The students, once daunted, carried newfound confidence. Hartsfield's legacy shifted, not just in calculus, but in how learning could unite. Keanu's note, "Math belongs to everyone," remained on the board. A quiet revolution etched in chalk. As the spring semester of 2025 drew to a close at Hartsfield University, Room 204 had transformed from a battleground of egos into a vibrant hub of collaboration. The 50-foot by 40-foot lecture hall, once ruled by Dr. Clara Nguyen's unyielding rigor, now buzzed with a new energy, students asking questions, sharing ideas, and sketching spirals inspired by Keanu Reeves' visualizations. Keanu, ever the quiet hero, never sought the spotlight. Yet his legacy of empowerment rippled across the 100-acre Massachusetts campus. Dr. Nguyen, once a gatekeeper, had evolved into a mentor who listened, her lessons now infused with openness and curiosity. Mateo Alvarez, Sophie Chen, and Tyler Brooks carried newfound confidence beyond the chalk-dusted walls, their lives reshaped by a semester that redefined what learning could be. Keanu's influence was a gentle force, rooted in humility. He stayed in the back row, his worn notebook a constant companion, tutoring after class in a 10-square-foot corner of room 204. Mateo, the first-generation Puerto Rican student, joined a STEM club. His math anxiety replaced by dreams of engineering bridges, literal and figurative. Sophie, once silenced by imposter syndrome, led a study group, her voice now a beacon for others. Tyler, the lacrosse star, used calculus to refine his team's strategies. His next quiz a perfect score. Dr. Nguyen, in a private moment, admitted to Keanu, "You showed me teaching is about building paths, not walls." Her tenure fears faded, replaced by a renewed passion for her craft. The broader impact was seismic. Hartsfield's Math in Motion program, launched at the Spring Festival under a 50-degree evening sky, reached 500 local high schoolers, Using Keanu's hands-on methods to combat math anxiety. A Boston Globe article, circulated on May 19, 2025, reported the program's expansion to 10 states, with 5,000 students enrolled nationwide. Keanu's TikTok tutorials, simple yet profound, amassed 15 million views, inspiring a national STEM movement. Comments flooded in, "Math feels like magic now." The food bank project, saving $12,000 annually, became a case study in community impact, a core American value. At Hartsfield's homecoming bonfire, a quintessential college tradition, 10,000 students gathered around a 20-foot blaze, chanting "Hawks, soar" in solidarity. The glow, symbolizing the community Keanu had helped forge. A flashback deepened the emotional tie. Decades earlier, a young Keanu, grappling with loss, found refuge in a dimly lit library, a tattered calculus book his anchor. The patterns of numbers, derivatives, integrals offered solace when words failed. That memory, of a boy finding order in chaos, mirrored the journeys of Mateo, Sophie, and Tyler. Keanu's presence in room 204 wasn't just about math. It was about passing on that refuge, showing students they could find strength in understanding. His note on the board, "Math belongs to everyone," became a mantra, etched into Hartsfield's ethos. The story's lessons were manifold. First, knowledge is a bridge, not a barrier, meant to connect rather than divide. Keanu taught that true brilliance lies in lifting others up, not standing above them. Second, humility transforms more than pride ever could. His quiet persistence outshone Nguyen's initial antagonism. Third, vulnerability is strength. Nguyen's apology and Mateo's growth showed that admitting struggle opens doors to progress. Fourth, community matters, whether saving a food bank or chanting at a bonfire. Collective effort amplifies impact. Finally, learning is lifelong. Keanu, in his 50s, proved it's never too late to chase a passion. The final image was vivid: Keanu walking across Hartsfield's leaf-strewn quad, the 50-degree air crisp, his notebook tucked under his arm. Students waved, calling, "See you in class." He smiled, a quiet hero whose impact needed no fanfare. The homecoming bonfire's embers still glowed in the distance, a symbol of the community he'd ignited. In a world of equations and egos, Keanu Reeves showed Hartsfield that the real math is making everyone count. To you, our amazing audience, thank you for joining this journey. Your comments, like this, gave me chills, or "Keanu's my math hero," light up our channel. Where are you watching from? Boston, California, or beyond? Drop it below. And share a lesson this story taught you. If Keanu's story inspired you, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more tales of unsung heroes. Together, we're building a community that celebrates knowledge and heart. Let's keep making everyone count.